Hasita, Fellow in Division of Pediatric Hemato-Oncology from Srihar. Today I am going to present a case on rare variant of autoimmune lymphoproliferative syndrome with immune dysregulation. Coming to the patient details, he's a 14-year-old male boy, resident hailing from Assam, presented to Srihar with complaints of easy fatigability, generalized body pain, and abdominal distension for 3 months. History of presenting illness, he complained of easy fatigability with not being able to play and difficulty in performing the daily activities. He also had complaint of breathing difficulty while playing or climbing chairs. History of progressive abdominal distension was also present, more in left compared to right. History of bone pain was present in bilateral arms and legs, dull aching pain, gradual in onset, present throughout the day, exacerbated with work and relieved on rest and by pain medication. The other history was not suggestive of any chronic etiology but cardiac defects. I would like to elaborate the past history. For the same complaints, he was admitted in his native place. On examination, pallor and splenomegaly was noted. CBC done revealed pancytopenia with lymphocytic predominance. HB electrophoresis was normal. Bone marrow biopsy was done, but the reports are not available. He was supported with transfusion and he was initiated on dexamethasone for 3 days, which showed symptomatic transient improvement. But in view of persistent symptoms, he again got readmitted in July 2021 and was evaluated in a tertiary hospital where CBC showed pancytopenia with macrocytosis. Peripheral smear was remarkable for pancytopenia with no evidence of blasts. Bone marrow aspirate showed hypocellular marrow with no evidence of blast. Flow cytometry was normal. Further evaluation in view showed PET-CT with generalized lymphadenopathy, max of 1.3 centimeters with SUV less than 3. CT chest showed subpleural consolidation, probably infective. MAN2 was negative. He was treated with amoxiclav and voriconazole for 2 weeks on OPD basis. Later, he was lost to follow-up and he returned back to his native place due to logistic reasons. Due to worsening of symptoms, he was again evaluated in his native place where CBC done showed pancytopenia with macrocytosis, peripheral smear showed spherocytosis and DCT was positive. He was supported with 1 unit packed RBC and he was brought by parents to SRMC for further evaluation. The other history was not significant. On examination, vitals were stable and weight and anthropometry details were within normal limits. SMR staging was 4. General examination showed pallor, bilateral angular cheilitis with no evidence of oral ulcers or gingivitis with no bleeds, anomalies or dysmorphism. On systemic examination, parabdomen was distended, massive splenomegaly till umbilicus, firm and non-tender was seen. Other systems were unremarkable. Summary and differentials. To summarize, he's a 14-year-old developmentally normal boy born out of non-consanguineous marriage, had easy fatigability, abdominal distension, and bony pains for 3 months. On examination, pallor and massive splenomegaly was noted. He also required transfusions in the past. Outside evaluation showed pancytopenia, generalized lymphadenopathy, and left upper lobe consolidation, which was treated with oral antibiotics and antifungals on OPD basis. So with this history and workup, we had 4 differentials as consideration. The first one would be infection, probably TB bar fungal. The features suggestive are lung consolidation, which could not be explained with cytopenia or no fever. The second one we considered was malignancy, probably Hodgkin's bar leukemia due to fever, cytopenia, organomegaly, bony pain, and lymphadenopathy. But bone marrow biopsy showed no blasts. The third one, though rare, we considered immunodeficiency, probably CVID, due to lung consolidation, autoimmune cytopenia, age of onset. But there was no failure to thrive or family history suggestive. Autoimmune lymphoproliferative syndrome was also considered due to autoimmune cytopenia, lymphadenopathy, organomegaly, and lung consolidation. With this, we have investigated at Srihar, which showed pancytopenia with macrocytosis, elevated reticulocyte count, with DCT being positive, Liver function tests and renal function tests were grossly normal with mild elevation in LDH and uric acid. Other investigations on imaging, chest X-ray was normal with resolution of previous lesion in right side. Ultrasound abdomen showed splenomegaly with diffuse scattered tiny hypoechoic nodules with mesenteric lymphadenopathy. Bone marrow aspiration and biopsy was normal with no evidence of blast. Lymph node biopsy taken from right supraclavicular node showed reactive hyperplasia. TB workup was negative. Immunological workup done in form of T and B cell flow cytometry showed CD1956 and CD8 being normal with reduced CD4 cells. IgA immunoglobulin profile was grossly normal. Double negative T cells by flow cytometry was elevated with 5% of CD3 population. HIV ELISA was negative, ANA was negative, and C3, C4 being normal. So with this picture, we considered ALPS as a diagnosis, which was confirmed with clinical exome sequencing, which showed CTLA4 deficiency. So a definitive diagnosis of autoimmune lymphoproliferative syndrome was made, which showed CTLA4 haploinsufficiency with autoimmune infiltration. He was managed and he was started on steroids and sirolimus. Over a period of 2 weeks, child's counts improved and splenomegaly regressed. Steroids were tapered after 4 weeks. So the current table showed improvement in counts after starting steroids over a period of 2 weeks. Follow-up. Currently, he is continuing treatment in his native place. Recent telemedicine consult on 12th November revealed no organomegaly or pallor. BP, CBC, and RFT was normal. The current plan is to continue sirolimus and slow tapering of steroids. And HSCT, hematopoietic stem cell transplant, would be suggested in case of refractory disease during follow-up. Discussion. Autoimmune lymphoproliferative syndrome is dysregulation of immune system homeostasis due to defective fast-mediated lymphocyte apoptosis. Prevalence of ALPS in children is unknown because less than 1,000 cases are reported so far. Probably remains underdiagnosed due to variable phenotypic expression and a constellation of symptoms that overlap with many other conditions, particularly Evans syndrome and other lymphoproliferative syndromes, more common in males compared to females. So the pathophysiology is normally a FAS receptor is expressed on the cell that undergoes apoptosis, and a FAS ligand is expressed on the cell that kills it. So in cases of ALPS, there are mutations in FAS and FAS receptor, FAS ligand, and caspases enzymes, which lead to apoptosis. So this leads to failure of affected lymphocytes to die after their response to antigen has been completed. So there will be an accumulation and buildup of excessive number of polyclonal lymphocytes, which leads to hepatosplenomegaly and lymphadenopathy. Which is depicted in this picture. Here, normally a FAS ligand will react with FAS receptor, which activates the caspases and initiate the apoptosis. If there is any mutation in this process, it will lead to lymphoproliferation and cytopenias. These are the following clinical features of ALPS, which include
Dr. We're at the end of our time. So how many more slides do you have?
2, sir.
Okay, finish please. Yeah.
Which includes chronic non-malignant lymphoproliferation, autoimmune disease with secondary malignancy. The signature laboratory anomalies include double negative T cells, which express alpha beta T cell receptor complex but lack CD4 and CD8 co-receptors, which is present in our patient also. These are the types of ALPS, and each type will have its own significant phenotypic variation. So this current case is CTLA4 deficiency, type 5 ALPS. CTLA4 is basically an inhibitory receptor expressed on regulatory T cells. CTLA4 haploinsufficiency with autoimmune infiltration causes dysregulation of Fockhead box P3 positive Treg cells and hyperactivation of effector T cells, resulting in severe loss of tolerance and infiltrative autoimmune disease. Management of ALPS. We usually give corticosteroids. Second line therapies are sirolimus and mycophenolate mofetil. Lymphoproliferation rarely requires treatment unless patient develops hypersplenism or organ compression. Splenectomy is avoided as ALPS patients have high risk of post-splenectomy sepsis even with vaccination and antimicrobial prophylaxis. So take home message is, if there
This
is
is the last slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shall we stop with this? Everybody can read the slide and we'll stop with this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is
Right.
highlight.
Last
Okay.
slide, sir. So if there is a high index of suspicion for immunodeficiency or immunodysregulation syndromes must be kept in mind in children with a combination of unexplained infections or lymphoproliferation and autoimmunity. Systemic approach with history examination and appropriate investigations, including genetic sequence, would help in unfolding the newer variants of common disorders and help in clinical management. Thank you.